Hello, everyone. Another raw, unedited, and spontaneous recording. I just posted a video. This was supposed to be only for the Patreon page that I have with my Patreon community. We have started Operation Gladio series, by the way. I have the link for Patreon site somewhere in the description section. But based on a few questions and comments and feedback I have received so far since I published this episode one on Operation Gladio, I have received several questions that actually deserve to be addressed. So I just want to go through some of those points. I made some notes, and yes, I'm old-fashioned. I don't use electronic gadgets to go through all these things. I still do the old fashioned way. That's me. Old and old fashioned. So let's get that out of the way. We all agree on that. So let's move on because one of the main comments, and this has been by at least three different people, had to do with, oh, I can't believe you are giving this, Charlie Kirk and that assassination some sort of a messiah hierarchy and covering it as if he's some kind of a messiah figure, which makes me shake my head and say, either they haven't listened and watched, um, these series I've had even in the past, not only this one, or they're just missing the point, or maybe partially I'm at fault and maybe I should have explained it better. But 75% of that video analysis on Operation Gladio, this particular section that has to do with CIA's operation in Turkey and the important figures, and then this particular incident that had to do with the Papal shooting in 1981, and the actors involved, and the kind of climate, the environmental pulse as these types of incidents were taking place, right, on the ground. This would be late 1970s. This would be early 1980s. Iran-Contra happened during the same time as well. You look at so many different angles. You look at the actors, you look at the targets, you look at the incidents. It's to understand Operation Gladio, okay, which is still in effect. It is still being played, okay. It went from the original Operation Gladio right after the World War II. Since 1990s, it shifted, right? And it maybe shifted more than once because we had the era pre 9/11 and a lot of things took place, all right? A lot of things took place that nobody has been really covering. Very few people have covered. Sure, there is a great book, and I have referenced it in one of my posts at my Patreon sites. That's where I'm active. Remember Devil's Playgrounds that we talked about? I'm trying not to be too much in this field, on their playground, in their playgrounds. I have a smaller playgrounds and I'm comfortable being there. But once in a while I come and I post some stuff here because there are so many people who don't know because I'm shadow banned, right? That I am back or I'm partially back. So this was one of those situations. I said, okay, I put this first episode, and by the way, thanks to my Patreon community for making it possible for me to produce these, at least episode one, and the related discussions on my Patreon page. We have Sunday live sessions where we take questions and talk about it, discuss it among ourselves. And I love our Sunday sessions. I have to say it's fun. And I'm always looking forward to have the Sunday sessions because it's interactive and I like it to be interactive. Anyhow, I keep getting sidetracked, right? Let's get back to the point. There are different elements, there are different aspects of Operation Gladio. And you look at, say, okay, what was the environment like, right? What was the tension level? Because it's the strategy of tension that is the basis for Operation Gladio. So I took two cases and I said, one is a present one, which we will deal with afterwards, right? And then most of it had to do with 1981 papal shooting, right? Which is still unresolved, okay? They still haven't. They still haven't established any motive for the actors. And when I say they, that would be the mainstream media, that would be the pseudo alternative media, and many academic papers that their crafters, their authors are heavily influenced by the deep state, because as we know, these academic institutions, they are heavily funded, right, by the special interest and also by the government. So of course you can see that there is a major censorship effect on the ground as far as the academic papers are concerned. And by the way, the only comprehensive book written on Operation Gladio has been by a Swiss author, Daniel Ganser, and not an American and not a British, because I can't imagine, people here, anyone really taking it on. And even with Daniel Ganser's book, it's very focused because it was part of his PhD, it was part of his academic research, right? So it's focused, as it should be, only on Italy aspect of it, because as we know, Operation Gladio was a global operation. It was all over Western Europe, it was in the Middle East. So it was not like limited to only one or two countries. But Ganser's book, and it's a great book, and I recommend it to everyone to as a starting point, because once you read that book, right, on Operation Gladio, then you're kind of warmed up, right? You're ready then to expand and say, okay, in fact, Italy was not the main country hub for the Operation Gladio. The main hub was, and to a certain degree still is, not as much as it was, at least since 9/11, is Turkey, has been Turkey. And it's very easy to understand why. All you have to do is bring up the map and look at Turkey and see where it's located, right? Look at its neighbors, right? Geopolitical aspects of these countries are extremely important. And we covered those, and I'm going to cover those as well in my series. This was just episode 1, and I believe this is going to be a long running series, meaning probably in order to do it justice, Operation Gladio, we are going to have at least 20 episodes. I would say minimum, because we are going to deal with the heroin, right? Global heroin. Then we are going to focus on Afghanistan. We are going to focus on China's Xinjiang region. We are going to focus on some certain Central Asian countries. We're going to look at Kyrgyzstan. We're going to look at this area between Iran and Afghanistan. It's called Sistan and Baluchistan. And we're going to talk about cases and facts that probably no one is talking about here in the United States, at least. Really, very few people. There are some really good people who get it and they cover certain aspects of it, and there are very, very few. I would say one of them would be Aaron Good, and he's amazing. He's really good. Paul Craig Roberts has done a great job covering, again, certain angles and certain aspects of it, and he gets it. Paul Craig Robert gets it, and Aaron Good gets it. These are, I mean, I will go ahead and start putting names, and I won't have to even use both hands, all fingers, because very, very few people. So anyhow, So we are covering all this, right? This macro picture of Operation Gladio, right? From all the way from the top, the deep state. And then we look at the types of players, operatives they use, how they use them, right? What do we mean by strategy of tension and strategy of tension? Okay, put it in context, right? So with papal shooting case that I covered in this video, if you haven't, it's not a video actually, it's an audio. Correction, let's have correction. I covered the, the shooter, the person, they have several, layers. There's the operative, the shooter, which was in the bottom of the chain, and his handler, okay, one level up, and his handlers, right? And we looked at the climate, right? What was happening during this time? What were these people involved with? How it has been established via reports from both Italian government and also Turkish parliament and government that these were absolutely directly under the guidance and the direction and the management and the recruitment of the CIA and the NATO's stay behind army. Now, after finishing that, after talking about that, I moved to saying, okay, assassinations, right? And strategy of tension, right? The agenda of the deep state, right? You put all those together and let's apply it to some current events, right? Current events. And it was a perfect case. It's a perfect case, Charlie Kirk's assassination. Not to say, oh, this is definitively, 100% definitively Operation Gladio case. No. Let's examine it through the Operation Gladio lens and see how many of its characteristics, right? Uh, qualities, okay, situations fit the Operation Gladio and the agenda of the deep state. And with that, the most important thing is examine what's going on, what has been going on, right? We have to always put it within a context. Without context, it's like some sort of a babbling, right? We are analyzing it, we are looking at it. We can't say it is or it is not without examining all the other factors, every single actors involved, various interests. That's how we get to examine and see and have a deeper understanding of what's really going on. So to say, oh, giving some sort of a messiah label to Charlie Kirk, who was assassinated, I would say it's far from what we are doing and what this audio, this podcast was about. Okay, the tension level is high, and it is not organically the way it is. Okay, it is by design. Okay, the polarization, right? The rise of extremism that we are seeing, again, it is not the case organically, okay? There are interests, okay? There are interests at play, and those interests want this. And we can get through the why would they want this, and that would take a few episodes, and we are going to cover these. So please come and join me, for these episodes on Patreon. I'll put a link there, and it's free, by the way. Okay, it's open to all members. So whether you're a paid member or you're not, it's open. And thanks to those community members who are paying, it's basically subsidizing it for all. So right now we are keeping it open to all, and it's free. All you have to do is a free membership, and you just join my Patreon page. And no, I'm not in this. I'm not doing this for any fame. I'm not doing this because I want to score money. None of those. I'm doing this because I'm the first person, I'm the only person who has come forward with Operation Gladio 2.0, Operation Gladio B. Came and done this. I've been doing this since 2008, okay? And the climate was not really receptive to it, because in 2008 and 2009, when I was talking about these, when I was exposing Operation Gladio 2.0, starting with 9/11, with 9/11 2.0, the climate was like, oh, this is conspiracy theory, this is crazy. Nobody in the United States had read Daniel Ganser's book, right? Nobody had really looked into Operation Gladio. These are completely proven, on the record, right? Confirmed. It's not a hypothesis. Oh, or it's not even a theory. It's a factual thing that even CIA has confirmed. Without adding any comments, saying, "Oh yeah, that's what we did, but we stopped doing those bad things." You know the look, right? Uh-huh. We did all those things, but we stopped because agenda still is there. The interests are still there. Those geopolitical prizes are still there. And let me say something else, and that's another fallacy, because it comes up, and I have seen it in a few questions, is I think it's naive. And many Americans, I would say 99%, they actually can understand and believe that our government, the United States government, is doing these horrible, evil stuff, Operation Gladio, right? Terrorizing, not only the Middle East, and with direct wars here and there, but also Western Europe, okay? But they're under this fallacy, false notion that, but they would never do that to us here in the United States. They won't do that to the Americans. First of all those people who are for 9/11 truth, they already know that, of course they would. All right, so that's one. I mean, come on. I mean, can you be that naive? I'm not saying this to people that have been with me. They are part of this community, truth-seeking community, justice-seeking community. But I'm talking to those of you who are still holding on to this naive notion that our government would never do such a thing to us. Our government loves us. You see the look? Okay. Enough said on that. So as I said, compartmentalizing certain things, right? And view it singularly, and trying to get to the reason or the truths or the facts is an impossible task. It will never happen. You have to look at all the elements, multitudes, multiple elements, right? All different factions, all different interests. Only then you can put these pieces of puzzle together and see what it forms, right? If you're concentrating in 5 pieces and you're going to keep trying to kind of connect these pieces and they don't connect, you give up. You say, well, there is nothing here, which is happening a lot. It happens with the media all the time. It happens with mainstream media, which is dead, basically. It's like its last. These are like the last breaths of the mainstream media, CNN, NBC. They're gone. They won't be around. Then you have the pseudo alternatives. Then you have the social media figures, many of them not organically made popular, right? Algorithm gods, we talked about that. So yeah, let me see what else I'm missing here, because I need my glasses. I can't read without my glasses. Okay, so we covered that. Yeah, people wanted me to give an example, saying, okay, because of what we talked about last time, we talked about these new, I would say, what do you call it? The wave, the movements of people seeing the light, certain people who are given immediately 15, 20 million followers, right? And the common thread that they were all like asleep. They were part of the deep state unknowingly. They were part of the corrupt system. And then suddenly they woke up, they saw the light, they found Jesus, and now they are. I'm sorry, I'm doing this because you know me, I am me. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. You see, you get what you see, you get what you hear. It is what it is. It's so fake. It is so fraudulent. It's so horrible. I mean, so many levels. First of all, if you are a true Christian and a true believer of this, Jesus Christ, if you look at it from that perspective, these imposters exploiting, you know, we know religions have always been exploited, right? Doesn't matter which religion, whether it's Christians in Vaticans, how it was used and how it is used, how it has been used. Vatican? Okay. We know these mullahs, these imams exploiting Islam, right? Reinterpreting Quran and coming up with this sick, twisted version of some cult movement to serve their agenda, right? It's everywhere. I honestly don't know how many percent of our churches in this country are honest, good churches. It has become a money producing machine by all means. A lot of them, a lot of these mega churches. I don't even know how people fall for some of these mega churches. I mean, anyhow, I mean, that is not the point. But what I'm saying, these figures, right, with their sudden awakening, because awakening does happen. Yes, it does happen. Rarely it happens. Okay. But at this degree, like this, so televised, because look, I don't care who it is, right? Algorithm gods make sure you're shadow banned. You're treated with silence. The spotlights are never there. If you're truly, I mean, truly awake, that you have waken up. There are amazing, great awake people who have been awake for decades, right? Nowhere to be seen because their visibility is controlled. They have the knobs there, they turn. They'll turn it on and take it up several notches for this, and then turn it down or completely turn it off for that. So let me put it in context, right? If somebody wants to analyze and say, why then would these Messiah founding, right, phony, completely fake, right? They are not even important in the chain of, agenda and deep state. I call them the bottom feeders. Like they're the parasitic, oily bottom feeders. They have always been that. Whether they were sucking up to Fox News, sucking their interest, on their knees, sucking their interest, not for 1 year, decades. Catch my drift? Right. Whether they were some kind of a famous radio figure who promoted all sorts of BS on 9/11 and everything, the agenda's version, right? Hello, bottom feeders. But the question is, how would we put it in context? If you're an analyst and you want to know, but you see, they are coming, and let's say this particular person or that particular person is very strong against Israel, right? I mean, saying it as is, so daring. What could be, like, how could this be part of some sort of a plan and agenda, right? Well, I would break it down and say there are several possibilities. Several possibilities. One obvious one, right? The interest, the deep state already knows about the unrest, about the semi-Renaissance awakening among the people, the general population, right? They do. Now, they are also smart enough, look at these mega billionaires, right? They're smart enough to know that if they bring in someone who is, again, giving the same old story, let's say on Israel, people are not buying it anymore. They're already turning off their CNN. So why are they gonna go follow and really listen to someone who is basically mimicking, saying the same exact thing that we have been hearing for decades from the MSM, right? So to gain the trust, to bring those and have those people tune in to their guys, they would have their guy give that what people want. Supply and demand, right? They know what the demand is, and they are happy to supply with people who are under their control. Because once that trust and following is established, once that credibility created by saying the right keywords, then those people are in this position where they can sell all sorts of misinformation as part of that, right? So that would be one angle to explore. What are other angles to put their people saying those stuff on Israel? I'm just putting, hypothesis, you have 5, 6 hypotheses, then you start digging and analyzing, and see which one of those hypotheses turns into theory, and from there, it would be the fact, proven fact, right? Another thing, I'm just drawing, and nothing is too crazy to put out there. You have to look at all angles. What else does this accomplish? I'm thinking, and I'm thinking out loud, making it a context within which to try to explain what is happening. What is really happening is, what else does this accomplish? I tell you what, it smokes out all the people who are awake, right? Have been awake, and they have already known about all these things, Israel related, let's say, but for whatever reason, whether fear, because it's been a taboo for so long, the professors who have been expelled from the universities for really talking the truth, the journalists who have been outcast for talking the truth on Israel, not for a year, not for 5 years, for decades, right? It's because of their fear for their career, fear for their jobs. Some of them, self-censoring, fear of, it's a self-censorship because it's a taboo, and people are not going to like me if I say that. They're going to be outraged. For whatever reason, a lot of people, and some of these people, they have been in important positions, various levels. They have refrained and they have kept it to themselves, right? What better way to smoke them out? Because look, gods of algorithm, also gods of database. Don't you believe that every one of those followers are already placed in one database? Millions probably. Because it gives, and that part is good, okay, but what they're going to do with it, and why would they want to have their guys coming out saying, I found the Messiah. I'm Messiah. I found Jesus. Look at me. I'm a flannel shirt lumberjack. For 50 years, I was a preppy person, right? With these gold Rolex and diamonds and $2,000 Italian shoes, all the preppy stuff. I don't want to repeat myself. Now all of a sudden, I'm a lumberjack. Lumberjack, and I found Jesus. Okay, so to smoke out, deep state wants to know who is where, and thanks to the social media and the technological capabilities, is easier than ever. It's so easy to identify that in the United States of America, we know the exact, I'm throwing number here, 9,271,591 people who are against genocide by, Zionist Israel, the ultra Zionists, and their lobby in the US and everything. We know every one of those people. Israel would want to know. The US government wants to know. The deep state definitely wants to know. Well, they know now, right? But then they also can measure the degrees, saying, because see, this gives courage to smoke them out, right? Some of them are like getting the courage. Like, there's you and I and a bunch of us, we've always said what we have said about Israel, right? Because it's always been known. But so many haven't. So many didn't. They are now gaining that courage by saying, look, Lumberjack is doing it, and he's making millions of dollars. He's becoming more and more popular. Nobody is firing him. Nobody is kicking him. Nobody is bashing him. Nobody is making Lumberjack's record public. Lumberjack has a record. They always do. Lumberjack has a thick record. Lumberjack has a very thick record. So I can talk too. I'm going to write a book too. I'm going to write an article. I'm going to go on an interview. I'm going to be interviewed and I'm going to say it because it seems like the taboo is gone. Now it's an act of courage and everybody's clapping and I get spotlight. I maybe even get invited to Lumberjack's show. It's human psychology. It's the simple human psychology. Nobody wants to be first, right? Why not prop up first to know who would be the second, third, fourth, fifth, the real one, right? Because the ones who always been, they already know about. Let's have a database of all these people. So that's one hypothesis. Is it likely? I don't know. I can't put some kind of a statistical percentage and say how likely it is, but I would say it's a hypothesis worth examining. And another hypothesis, put them in this position, give them the spotlight, gods of algorithm, make them look like they have 100 million followers, more than Jesus did, and have them, because give them the capability, that gives them the capability to push the button. It's not like the White House button that you push the button for the nuclear bomb. Push the button by saying inflammatory thing after certain incidents, probably created by the deep state, that would bring about chain of events, the chain of events they want to see happening, right? I mean, once you have created this environment and the extremes on both sides, right? You have raised the tension. So the tension is up. What is next? It's the clash, right? Also, there are other things. Implementation of police state means. When was the last time we had our National Guard being sent to different states and put the boots on the ground and do the things we are seeing today, right? Because we have the rise, because that was created. Why would George Soros pay all those people to go and demonstrate and loot and burn cars and all engage in those acts? A billionaire who doesn't have the right ideology or left ideology. The deep state is ideology less, right? They're non-binary, okay? They ain't got no ideology. It's their ideology is their God complex. Power. The deep state doesn't have religion. They're not Muslims or Jews. They are the deep state. They are, okay, maybe they are the Satan's cult. Let me put it that way. But none of the established conventional religion, they don't subscribe to any of that. I mean, to subscribe to them, you have to say they are godly people. Do you believe the deep state is godly? No. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is you take all these possibilities. That's what any good analyst should be doing. You take these possibilities, you examine them, you say, okay, you put these ingredients that are, you see, put it in there, this statistics there. You look at the history of these people. That is not like atomic science, people. Anybody who is persistent, right, and has analytical capabilities, and it's not like a rare capabilities, can sit down and do it. But first, it starts with open mind and not have these blinders put in place saying, why are you making Charlie Kirk's assassination as if he was some kind of a messiah? It's like, you're missing, dude. You're missing, do that. That's for that. Okay. Now, I hope it clarified some things. I don't know. Did it, people? I'm not sure. And I'm not saying among these, there are some actually genuine people, right? There are some genuine people and their popularity seems to be genuine. I want to share something with you. I mean, I was not going to talk about this, but heck, why not? Let's talk about it. Why not, right? It's unedited, it's raw, it's spontaneous, and I'll tell you, I will explain why I first didn't want to talk about it. But one of the things I've been doing since my semi-comeback, slow comeback, I'm still coming back. I'm not there yet. At least in Patreon, among our community, I am. I'm feeling motivated and I'm comfortable. I'm in a good environment there. I'm not sure. I don't like to play in Devil's Playground. I want the people, those of you who understand me and they want to engage in this dialogue and discuss this and see more of this, please. As I said, it's free. Come and join me on Patreon, okay? Because I feel in some ways like a hypocrite because it's like, okay, I'm saying this is Devil's Playground and here I am talking to you on their playground. But I told you the reason is a lot of people, because I'm shadow banned, they don't know that, hello, I'm back, kinda. Come and join me at Patreon. Let's communicate. Let's establish the communication lines again, because those communication lines were on like off mode for 4.5 years, right? And that's the way every time I come here, there are few who are like, oh my goodness, you're back. I didn't know that. So that's my motivation. Other than that, I don't want to be playing. I don't want to be here in the devil's playground. That should be enough to shadow ban. Not shadow ban me, completely, literally ban me here where we are right now. Okay? So here is what I've been doing. All right, people. In the last 3-4 months, okay, this I have been doing by myself without having any plan. Sometimes you have plan and you say, well, I'm gonna do this and then this and then this for this. Mine was just this spontaneous, some sort of a calling. I don't know, whatever you want to call it, call it. But I take one of these personalities, right? That with all of a sudden lots of followers, etc., etc. For 2 weeks, I studied the heck out of them. I'm talking about 50, 60 hours work minimum. I listened to minimum of 20, 30 of the video audio in the last few years, right? I take notes because I'm trying to establish consistency, or is it like whatever direction the wind blows, they change the tune? I'm like, I have my own methods, okay? It's not madness, trust me. I have my notes. Then I do background checks in my own way, right? As an analyst, I did that for so long. I look into their background, academic background, their career background, their current family. I look at their economic background and current economic. Then I study them by psychological, because those of you who don't know, I have a degree in that one too, a useless degree, psychology, but I watch them in action. I really watch them. I watch them like a hawk, right? I watch them. I watch their body language, their face, their eyes, their mannerism, the voice, the pitch. Also, extremely important to determine genuine, fake, undecided, right? So I have a list. Let me see. I have it so far for 6 different people. Of these 6 people, 2 of them have passed my smell test. Okay, call it Sibel's radar, Sibel's smell detector, right? But not just hunch saying, you know, okay, this doesn't pass the sniff test. It's not that way. I am doing it with a particular methodology and lots of work. And as I said, I've been going back and forth. I'm like, do I want to come out and talk and take each one and then say, give all the information, give all my analysis with all the facts, all the information gathered in one place, and then at the end tell you, do I believe this person passes the sniff test or not, right? Well, I would say out of 6 people, actually 2 of them did. I don't have to agree with their style, Who am I? Everybody should have their own way, their own method, their own style. That's what makes us unique. That. I mean, if we are carbon copying each other, becoming carbon copies of each other, then we are mainstream media, right? They're all the same. NBC, CNN, all of that. So anyhow, two. Okay, I'm not gonna get into that. Then why I haven't made up my mind about make it public? Because I tell you why. With everything I went through, and I'm still going through with the PTSD, the horrific events, I kind of think and tell myself, do I want that kind of, because then that's going to bring people who are going to attack and say, you have an agenda, you're jealous, why are you bashing this person? I'm not going to be bashing. I'm going to say, look, this and this, in my opinion, this person is absolutely phony, okay? Deep state player, these are the agendas, absolutely phony, right? Doesn't pass my sniffing test whatsoever. It's the opposite. Or to come and say, hey, person is genuine. Or to say, very frankly, I love people who can come publicly and say, I don't know, or I'm not sure. I mean, that's integrity. Most people, they don't like doing it. They think it's going to make them less important, or it's going to take away from their credentials, or we can't know everything. Sometimes I come across certain things, I'm like, well, I don't get it really. I keep going back and forth and I can't make up my mind. There's not either enough information for me to make up my mind, or for whatever reason to be able to say, look, undecided, to be determined, I don't know. Maybe future patterns will make me come to a conclusion, but currently I don't know. So I don't see anything like lessening by coming and saying that. But you know how it is, and I don't want to be part of that clash and brahaha. This side coming in a gang saying you're horrible. This is Junior, Jesus Junior. Another person's, the other team coming and saying, "Yay, we've always known that this." I I can't stomach that. But on the other hand, there may be a few people, maybe more than a few people, who would look at it, listen to it, and say, "You know what? Thank you for bringing my attention, bringing this to my attention. Now I know I'm watching out. It makes sense to me, right?" So basically, it's that. I don't know yet. Do I start that series, or do I just say, you know what? Also, that I have bigger fish to fry. I mean, they're like shark more than fish. One is as I'm going through this, hopefully recovery, it's taking on the hospital, hospice evil doing in this country based on all the things we went through, my husband went through, and based on all the research I have done in this 4 years being MIA. So, and that is like a huge shark, okay? Healthcare industry, hospitals, multi-billion dollars with their multi-billion law firms, right? And hospices. You know how many billion-dollar industry it is? Wait until you see my papers and all the stuff on that. So anyhow, what I'm trying to say is like that's one shark. And there are other, like, my fish that I'm frying that I want to fry, they're like sharks, okay? They are huge sharks, bloodthirsty sharks. So when I am like pursuing that, and that's my hope, that's my goal, whether I will be able to accomplish it or not, time will show. Plus, I'm not going to know anything until you try. You have to try, all right? There is no such a thing as losing, because doing nothing is losing, because you have already accepted a defeat, and this is a defeat for the society. This is not only for me. Anyhow, so there's that. With all those things, it's in your head, and you're like, do I do this? Do I wanna get into this kind of a bandwagon and do that? But then one day I look at some of the naive, gullible people. I'm like, it's important because this is part of Operation Gladio. This is our own domestic implementation of Operation Gladio by the same deep state. And another day I go like, I don't want to get toxicated. It's toxic. All these bickering and everything, that's toxic. And I don't want to engage in or be in the middle of that. I just want to stay away from all that and keep my very hermit, right? Reclusive life that I have had for the past 4.5 years. It's good, it's calm to just at least keep this environment calm. Anyhow, please provide your 2 cents. I would love to hear from you, your take, your opinions. Let me see if I covered at least the important points that I wanted to bring up during this casual chat. And I think I have. On a final note, we have a quality community at Patreon. And as I said, it is membership, but it's free. Those of you who can support, you can contribute whatever you can. In fact, all of this, the Gladio series, everything has been made possible because of my wonderful Patreon community. I invite you to join me there. We have great discussions, live discussion every single Sunday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Sometimes we go for 2 hours. Sometimes we go for 1.5 hours. These episodes. I also post interesting, relevant, important articles or video clips as I do my research on topics related to Operation Gladio. So in many ways, it's my website, okay? That's where I get to connect with critical thinking people like you, and communicate, have the dialogue, have the discussion, exchange information. But I publish everything there. So that's my second home. This is my home. That's my second home. And those are my people. Hope you will join us there. Those of you who can, I hope you will support it. And hopefully, we'll get together soon. Until then.